Day 7 of Green Bay Packers training camp is here after a day off on Wednesday. The Packers are back at it here on Thursday. They have yet another practice tomorrow, all before family night on Saturday. Today is another padded practice for the Green Bay Packers, so let's dive down into it and go over all the highlights from today's practice. Today, we also have some exclusive 1v1 clips that we've all been waiting for, and there are some awesome clips in there. So make sure to wait towards the end of this video and stick around for those clips. Do me a quick favor and go and click that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you guys want to stay in the loop with everything Green Bay Packers this training camp, from practice highlights to takeaways, you'll find it all here on this channel. Greatly appreciate it if you did go and click that subscribe button. All right, so now let's get into it. This first clip is actually from Tuesday. We saw this clip come out on the actual Packers X account, and it seems like they're finally starting to post some 11v11 clips, albeit a cinematic version of the 11v11, but it's better than nothing. This is the most we've seen the Packers post in terms of 11v11 footage in the last 10 years. They've started to post this. I'm so glad they're doing it. And of course, we all want to see it, right? We heard on Tuesday's practice that Matthew Golden had a 49-yard touchdown beating Nate Hobbs and Evan Williams over the top. And I believe it was a post corner. Absolutely beautiful throw by Jordan Love. And as you see, Matthew Golden, tons of separation on Nate Hobbs there running that corner route, and then just turns on the jets and beats Evan Williams all the way to the end zone. Matthew Golden has been so fun to watch so far through training camp, and I just really excited to finally get this first preseason game here and see him go to work in some live reps, because we hear it every day in training camp, the certain plays that Matthew Golden is making, the type of splash that he's making, it doesn't matter until he does it in a game sense. So really excited for the preseason games to show up, but man, he's been super impressive for sure. Next, we have some clips of some injury updates. Now, we see Julian Hicks there, but really we're focused on 83, Savon Williams, who suffered a concussion last week, then returned to practice on Sunday, then went through team drills and 11v11s on Monday, but was out of practice on Tuesday, went back into the Don Hutson Center. He's wearing a Guardian cap now. If I'm not mistaken, he wasn't wearing a Guardian cap before his concussion. Obviously, a smart thing to do if you suffer a concussion to give yourself an added layer of protection there. But Savon Williams did return to practice today, so that's a great thing to see. Just like Matthew Golden, excited to also see him more and what the Packers are going to do with him in terms of a gadget player, outside receiver, just how they're going to implement him into this offense. We haven't heard too much of Savon Williams, nothing like what we've heard from Matthew Golden. He's also been working with the second team, third team, whereas Golden's been working with the first team and getting all eyes on him, but Savon Williams still very excited for as well. Another wide receiver that also returned today was Dantavian Wixson. You can see him there with the football in his hand next to McCole Hardman. Dantavian Wixson suffered a calf injury. I believe that was on Monday. And we also see them going through that drill we saw on Tuesday, the ball security drill there. But you see him also with a wrap around his right calf. It's kind of blocked right there. You see the KT tape on his right calf there. So right calf injury. He was back at practice today, so just out a couple days there. Good to see him back in action. Here's a clip of Isaiah McDuffie coaching up new Packers linebacker Jared Bartlett, who they just signed yesterday. He's an undrafted free agent out of West Virginia, so another linebacker in this group, and clearly Isaiah McDuffie tapping into his leadership here, showing the new player what kind of drill they're doing and how to do it. That's great to see from Isaiah McDuffie. The Packers released Bugs Brown in a corresponding move, a cornerback slash safety slash tweener linebacker player that a lot of people were excited about. The Packers didn't give him much guarantees in terms of an undrafted free agent, decided to move on and bring in another linebacker. And I think here with Bartlett, it's going to be, between him and Christian Welch returning to the practice squad to be that special teams player that they could maybe see some call-ups on game day. Maybe the Packers are slightly worried that Christian Welch could yet again get claimed if they don't add him to the 53-man roster, and they want to have other options for that special teams unit on the practice squad. Here we have Jordan Love, of course, going through a passing drill and throwing a dime into the right side net in slow-mo, and it's really nice to see Jordan Love's footwork here, the release, it just looks really fine-tuned now. I'm interested to see what changes or how much changes in the absence of Tom Clements. I think we can all agree that Tom Clements, one of the greatest quarterback coaches of all time, obviously retired this offseason. Now we have, I think, Sean Mannion back there. I'm interested to see if anything changes, but at this point, Jordan Love has been coached up enough by Tom Clements, and you can see the changes. You could see how similar he is to Aaron Rodgers in terms of his footwork, his release, his off-platform throws, and obviously that's all at the back of Tom Clements coaching him up. It's really nice to see these every day, and Jordan Love pretty much hit the net every single time. He's been very accurate this camp so far. And again, like I've said many times, this looks like he's fully in control here in year 3. Like I showed you guys earlier with the Tay Wicks news, this is that drill that we showed a couple days ago. I called it the Kangaroo Drill. A lot of you guys in the comments basically said it's to help with ball security. And the Packers had a lot of fumbles last year when they were falling down to the ground. A player comes in, punches that ball out. And the Packers, I remember, did fumble a few times on that. So clearly they're looking at that from this past season and going, hey, we need to work on our ball security while our players are getting tackled or while they're falling down to the ground, because until your elbow, your knee, or your back hit the ground, that ball is live and it can be punched out. And I've also heard on the flip side, the Packers defense heavily are working on punching the football out, which I think is great. Hafley commented on this and said, hey, we took the ball away a lot last year, but we didn't have enough forced fumbles. I love that attitude. A lot of our players were ball hawks last year. The Packers, I believe, were second or first in the league in interceptions. And obviously McKinney had like 6 straight interceptions. But I do agree. I think the Packers can get better at remaining physical until the whistle is blown and trying to punch that football out. So I'm glad they're working on it on both sides of the ball. Here we have a clip of both Javon, Bullard, and Evan Williams going through a defensive back drill. When you look at both of them, you can see why Javon Bullard, the Packers like him in the nickel. Look how fluid he flips his hips there and how quickly he gets out of that break. And this isn't a slight against Evan Williams. You know, I have high hopes for year 2 of Evan Williams as well. But Javon Bullard, look how quickly he gets into that and out. So that's why the Packers like him in the nickel. He's an explosive player. He can get in and out of his break. He has fluid hips. He can track players, and more importantly, can help against the run. But they've also been still giving him snaps at safety in place of Evan Williams. So I think the Packers are going to move Javon Bullard around a lot, but I think when it's all said and done, his majority of snaps will come from the nickel, and that's because you want to keep Evan Williams on the field with Xavier McKinney back at safety, but you also want Javon Bullard on the field. So obviously, I think that's at nickel. A player that's been extremely impressive in camp thus far is second-year cornerback Kalin King. He's worked out of the nickel. He's worked out of the boundary. He had a pick 6 on Tuesday. He also had a would-be nickel blitz sack on Tuesday. And he's been making a name for himself and been making a lot of splash plays here in camp and really trying to earn that 4th or 5th cornerback spot behind Nate Hobbs, Carrington Valentine, Keyshawn Nixon. Right now, I think Bo Melton is that 4th guy. The Packers spoke very, very highly of him yesterday. And to me, at this point, Bo Melton, I think, is a roster lock just based on the special teams value. The Packers lost Corey Ballantyne, Robert Rochelle in this offseason, so they really need to replace that special teams value at the cornerback position. So although Kalin King making nice plays on defense, his course to the roster is also going to have to be contributing on special teams, and it might come down between, him, Kamal Hadden, and Micah Robinson for that 5th spot. Here's a clip of the Packers linebackers also hitting the sled. Man, there's Edgerrin Cooper doing it, and I don't think there's higher hype on this entire defense than for Edgerrin Cooper. It's absolutely insane. We also see Marshawn Lloyd going through some stretching activities at the bottom of the screen here. The Packers announced this morning that, or at least Matt LaFleur, that it's not a long-term injury, but don't expect Marshawn Lloyd back this week. So that's great to hear. It's not a long-term injury, just a slight groin pull, couple weeks off, a week off, whatever, and he should be back at practice. Don't want to get my hopes up. I really feel for Marshawn Lloyd, really good dude, and I want to see him on the field. We want to see what he can contribute as, potential running back number 2 behind Josh Jacobs. So hopefully he can return sooner rather than later. All right, so now let's dive into all the 1v1 clips we have from today's practice, and there are some great ones here. Massive, massive shout out to Dalton for providing these clips, giving the fans what we all want. And in this first clip, I know I was just talking about Kalin King and how he's having a good camp and whatnot, but McCole Hardman's also having a great camp, and McCole Hardman gets the better of Kalin King here on this comeback route. Absolutely torches Kalin King on that comeback, and McCole's been very, very good thus far this camp. You could see the absolute top line speed here, and a really good job by McCole to use his eyes to look back towards the football here like he's running a 9 route, and then snap down really quickly and get back towards the football for that comeback and create like 5 yards of separation and even make Kalin King slip at the top of this route, man. Just a tremendous, tremendous rep by McCall Hardman. Right now, he's wide receiver 6, and I definitely have him making the roster. Here we have a rep of Malik Heath versus Kamal Haddon. Just a physical rep. Malik Heath, obviously known as a very physical wide receiver, and Kamal Haddon showing that he's a physical cornerback too. Love this rep here. Love the strong hands by Malik Heath to be able to bring this down, fight through the contact, still get in front of Kamal Haddon there and make a nice grab. Here we have a couple of Matthew Golden clips, and he wins on both reps. First versus Carrington Valentine here. That has been a big camp battle in 1v1s thus far. Matthew Golden versus Carrington Valentine. And just watch this double move at the top of this route here, man. It's so subtle. It's so quick, but yet it creates such great separation at the top of this route to be able to break down like that, but also quickly threaten to the outside with a little bit of a feint, a stutter, rocker step, whatever you want to call it, and then snap down and break inside back towards the football that quickly. I mean, it's so impressive. This isn't a bad rep by any means by Carrington Valentine. I think he does a decent job. It's just a tremendous rep by Matthew Golden. Can't stop talking about how great of a camp Matthew Golden has had so far. And it's because of things like this. It's not just against air. It's against defenders that have been in the league. It's live action 11v11 making plays over Hobbs and McKinney. I mean, he seems like he's the real deal. And here's a rep against Keyshawn Nixon. Matthew Golden versus Keyshawn Nixon. Again, going to run another slant route, a little bit of a release to the outside, and simply just gets to the inside of Keyshawn Nixon here. Just a simple slant route. But nonetheless, something as simple as this, to be able to threaten outside with your speed, because you're the fastest player coming out of the draft, a corner has to respect a 9 against you. That creates separation on its own. Then the ability to remain physical against a very physical cornerback like Keyshawn Nixon and hand fight away is very impressive to create that little bit of separation and catch the ball in stride. Next, we have 2 really good reps of Xavier McKinney versus Tucker Kraft. And we know how good Tucker Kraft is, but we know how great Xavier McKinney is. And in both these reps, just textbook man-to-man coverage against a tight end. And that's what I was talking about the Bo Melton rep, right? Just doing just enough, getting your hands on just enough on the receiver to remain physical and remain on their hip and be able to contest this football and jump right in front of that. I mean, the explosion of Xavier McKinney, the physicality, he is just such a great addition to this defense. I mean, what a signing by Brian Gutekunst. Here's a rep of X versus Kraft, and my mistake, the last rep was actually against Luke Musgrave. I'm noticing that now that Tucker Kraft has this left leg sleeve. In the previous clip, he didn't have that. I couldn't tell because the jersey was tucked, but nonetheless, Xavier McKinney versus tight ends, I mean, it's straps. It's locked down both times, remaining physical enough, not to the point where they're going to draw a flag, remaining physical at the top of the route and then breaking underneath that thing, getting a hand in for a pass breakup. Here we have a rep of Romeo Dobbs versus Nate Hobbs on a simple 9 route. Really nice hand fighting, and then that breakaway speed, but Dobbs can't hang on. You got to hold on to that thing. Love seeing the hand fighting here. And then the top end speed by Dobbs to break loose right at the end of that route. You just got to hang on to it. Very nice throw, I think, by Jordan Love. I mean, that's an absolute dime to where only his receiver can get it. Got to bring that one down, Dobbs. So those are all the highlights we have from day 7 of Green Bay Packers training camp. Leave a like down below if you did enjoy the video. Like I said, the Packers are back at it tomorrow, and then family night on Saturday. If you're heading to family night, hope you guys have a great time. Awesome time out there to watch the team practice and scrimmage in Lambeau Field. So hope everyone going has a wonderful time. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.